tell it to you, I think you're going to see it's going to feel very much like the world today. This is my favorite story outside of the Bible from the ancient world, okay? So it's the allegory of the cave. And here's how it goes. So these ancient philosophers, they said, so here's what the world is like. It's like everybody was born in the very bottom of a really dark cave. And everybody's chained up. This is a beautiful picture of life, isn't it? This is how we're born. We're born chained up in a dark cave where you can see almost nothing. And in fact, everyone who's born inside this cave is born chained in such a way that they're only facing one direction. They can't even turn their heads. And all we can see is kind of the wall of the cave in front of us. And on the wall, what do we see? We see shadows on the wall. And so what the people spend all their time doing is trying to figure out, what do the shadows mean? What are they? What shadow is going to come next? They spend all of their time, we spend all of our time thinking about the shadows and how they interact with each other and what they mean. Now, the reality of our situation is that the shadows are coming from some light source behind us. So the people in the cave, behind them, where they can't see, is a campfire, a little bit above them. And in between them and the campfire, there are people who are producing the shadows. They're like puppet masters, and they're making this show for the regular people who are chained to watch. Now, who do these philosophers say are the puppet masters? They say the politicians and the media are the puppet masters. Doesn't that sound just like today? We're talking about the ancient world, 500 BC, and they're saying the problem with the world is that politicians and the media are manipulating people, and all people watch is what the politicians and media say. It's like they're chained in the darkness. Now, the situation in the world, they say, is like this, and the problem is that no one can get out of it. If someone could get out of it, here's what it would look like. Someone would have to break free from those chains. And if they broke free from those chains, the problem would be, it would be very painful. It would be a very painful experience. Imagine you'd been chained and facing one direction your whole life. What would it feel like to turn your head for the first time? Do you think that would feel good? Or how about to stand up for the first time and walk? That could be very painful. Or what about to turn around and look at the campfire? Oh, it would burn your eyes. It would be so bright compared to the darkness that you're used to. And it would be even more painful for that person, if they could break free somehow, to walk through the cave, to walk up past the campfire, and eventually to get to the mouth of the cave and out into the sunlight. If you've been born in the darkness, how long would it take you to adjust to the midday sun? It might take days or weeks before you could be outside without it hurting your eyes. But once you did, then you would be in the real world. You would see things the way that they really are. You would no longer be blind. Now, the end point of this story, this parable that they made up, these philosophers, is that, if someone actually did that, if they could get out, they would have a problem now. They'd probably want to get all their friends out, right? But the question is, would their friends want to leave? If a person got out of that and got used to the sunlight and came back into the cave and tried to get their friends out of the chains, would their friends want to leave? And the answer is probably not. Probably most of them would think they're crazy. There's a whole other world you don't know anything about. Yeah, right. If I break these chains, look, turn your head. Ow, that hurts. Don't do that. I don't want you to turn my head. Look at the campfire. No, that blinds me. I don't want to look at the campfire. They wouldn't want to leave. And then the final point that they make as they tell this story is that it doesn't really matter anyway, because no one can break those chains. No one has ever made it out of the cave. We're all stuck there forever. Now, this is important as we go into today's message. You're going to see Jesus is going to say some things. We're going to be in John chapter 9 today in a story where Jesus heals a blind man, a man